Hey, I'm gonna show you, let me just remove it so we can start over. What we're gonna do now is, this is a very good layout for a DCF, in my opinion. People do it differently, but let's assume you have, if we were to remove these, exactly, so let's just project free cash flow really quick. In this case, it's this gives you the growth rate for the year plus 1. So let's assume it's 10%, 9% here, and then you pull it out, paste the formula to the right. What happened? There we go. So what we want to do now is we want to discount it. So you have your 2017 estimates. This is your forecast year 1, but in my opinion, I usually think of it as the current year, seeing it's the current year shouldn't be discounted. So you have your formula here. Take the discounted like that, and then you do 1 plus. In this case, the discount rate is 10%, and you can lock it in, seeing it's constant. Like that. You need an extra parenthesis. Yeah, seems all right. Pull it out to the right. There we go. And now the interesting part. What I want to think here is you have the projections for all future free cash flow years, and you want to compute your terminal value. You're not sure. Yeah, let's do it in. Some people like to do it in year 10. Some people like to do it in year 5. But obviously it depends on the company and the terminal value growth. So in theory, the terminal value is all future cash flows to equity or firm baked into a formula. And you have a formula here. So we have a terminal value growth of 2%. So let's just start with computing the terminal value for all years. And you do the undiscounted free cash flow. Discount rate minus this number here, and seeing as these two are constants, you can lock them in like that. Paste the formula to the right. There we go. We only want terminal value for 1 year, and in this case we have a terminal value growth of 2%. So what I like to think here is you have a decreasing revenue curve. Once it reaches 2%, or the terminal value growth, here is where we want our terminal value to be computed. Let's just highlight it like that. And when you forecast revenue, like for year 12 or 11, in this case periods, having minus 2% revenue growth is absurd. Once it reaches your terminal value growth, it should be computed here, and all future years are in essence like this, and you merge it. So this should be your terminal value when it comes to free cash flow. Yeah, so we want to compute it there. So I'm just gonna show you how to do a if statement. It can be very complicated, but it can also be very simple. So we want this value to be the only value exactly. So first we need to do an if statement, and sometimes it's better to just think of it logically. Should we compute terminal value in this year? And the rule I want to make is if this one is higher than this number, then the answer to that question is true. But if it's not, it's false. Yeah, if, obviously. So if logical test here, this value is higher than that number, then it should be true. Otherwise, it will be false. So you pull it out to the right. There we go. Something happened here. Yeah, we need to lock it in, obviously. Paste the formula to the right. So now you see something changed we got a true value here because this is the same as this one. So we want our terminal value to be calculated here. And but we got another problem because all other years after this year are true as well. So the only thing different, this has a very easy solution. We have a false statement, false return here and true return here, and as you look at it, it's the only place where that occurs. So we can, if you look at this, if previous year is false, current year is true, then it should be true. So this is called a nested if. You have a new function in Excel 2016 called ifs, which is the same, but many people do. And a nested if is a if statement with if statements baked into if statements. So yeah, and you can do it as long as possible basically. But in this case, we'll only have two if statements in the same statement. So if previous year is false, we can start with this statement. If this one is false, now we have another condition, right? Current year is true. So we'll do another if statement is in this one, and this one is true. So now we've painted up the conditions for this this cell right here. So if we were to do true here and false, this one will be false. Same goes for all this ones and this one. But this one should be true. What happens if we do it here? False, 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 false. So we have a true statement, and in the column we want to compute our terminal value, while we have false values in all other ones. So now we have a very simple solution. If we were to compute our terminal value just here, we can do another if statement. If this one is false, then it should be empty. But if it's true, it will pick this value. Pull it out to the right. There we go. So I'm gonna show you again here. So let's just make it easy here. You can obviously automate some free cash flow as well. So this will grab sum up all free cash flows in that row, while this one will sum up all terminal value in this row. So just, oh shit. There we go. Doesn't really matter. So yeah, and why this is very interesting is you spend more focus on the actual estimates rather than thinking, oh, should I do it in year 9 or year 10 or year 11? You have a very consistent framework for all companies, essentially. Once you might be a very immature company, but when it becomes terminal value growth, you'll apply the same consistency for all companies, whether it be H&M or... So I can focus more on my actual estimates while having a very consistent framework for computing the terminal value. And in this case, if I were to start with maybe like 20%, 18%, then it'll decrease over time. There we go. This one should change. There we go. So now we compute our terminal value in a different year. And this is one way of thinking of it, but obviously you can just do 5 or 10 years as well.